The most fun part to me is that we don't even have to guess which version of talent actually translates to winning, because we literally saw these two exact styles clash on the court not too long ago. It happened during the FIBA Intercontinental Cup in September of 2024.
Nice, Euro versus G.
NBA sent their G League United.
All right, welcome back to another After Dark, everyone. Hope you all having a good night so far. Hope you guys had a wonderful day. So I had a member's request a little while back to check out this video here, and the titles got me intrigued, as it'll make perfect sense. First off, this is from Basketball Matters, and the title of this one is What Americans Still Don't Understand About EuroLeague. And I bet there's a lot I don't understand about EuroLeague. And yes, I am an American. And the more I hear about it, the more I like it. The more I see about it, the more I like it. So, yeah, I'm definitely willing to learn and see what I am naive to when it comes to EuroLeague. So hopefully, if you clicked on this video, you guys are too. And let's get right on with it. So I'm going to link the original video down below in the description of this video. You also see a list of channel members. Shout out to each and every one of you guys. I appreciate you. Everybody, please like the video. And yeah, quick intro, because really I just want to learn here. So let's do it.
Former NBA and EuroLeague guard Kyle Guy recently said the G League was the second best league in the world.
Talent-wise, I think it's the second best league in the world, and I've played EuroLeague, and EuroLeague is amazing.
And within hours, EuroLeague veterans and much of the international basketball community were just laughing at that take. But I was surprised to see how many people were actually having a debate about it. Because when you look at actual basketball quality, competitiveness, and how those same players perform overseas, the case for the G League falls apart pretty fast.
Okay.
So in this video, I want to explain why the debate between the EuroLeague and the G League in terms of who is clearly the number two shouldn't even exist. Okay, so
I mean, honestly, even as an American, I assumed EuroLeague was above G League. I figured that was the tier list.
First things first, let's agree on what we are debating here. The keywords to focus on are in terms of talent. Kyle Guy even clarified later that he wasn't trying to say that the G League as an overall product is number two in the world. In other words, we're not talking about the production quality, the attendance, or its TV ratings. Guy's claim is that the talent level in the G League is higher than in the EuroLeague. Having established that, let's look at some of those reactions this brought out.
One other thing I'm really curious about when it comes to EuroLeague is how the rules are. You know, how the rules are different from the NBA, how it's officiated, what's allowed, what's not allowed. Can you do double step backs and all this crap like you can in the NBA? Is flopping a thing out there? I honestly have a lot of questions about EuroLeague, and it's about time I start learning some of this stuff.
Pros playing in Europe didn't even bother arguing, they just kind of mocked it. For example, Jerron Blossom Game replied with this reaction. Eddie Tavares dropped this gif, while many other EuroLeague players simply said it was cap. Guy's quote even got a reaction from the NBA European Dennis Schroeder, who also said, "Love, but that's cap, Kyle." As you can see, nobody who experienced both sides gave it any serious consideration. Now, as Kyle...
Okay, so that's crucial. So anybody who's played in the G and in EuroLeague is laughing at that, basically saying EuroLeague is far superior. Okay.
A guy mentioned in that first clip, he did play in the EuroLeague, and that was quite recently, actually. Back in the summer of 2023, he signed a 2-year deal with Panathinaikos Athens. However, that contract didn't even last the full season. After Kendrick Nunn signed with PAO in mid-November, there essentially was no space left for him in the rotation. In fact, Kyle Guy played a total of just 16 games for Panathinaikos.
Okay, so that's a crucial little bit of information. So he wasn't, sorry for the lack of a better way to say it, but I'll be blunt. He wasn't good enough for the EuroLeague at this point. Maybe later, maybe not. But at this point, he wasn't good enough to be in EuroLeague. So if he's good enough to be in G League, I don't think that supports his argument, but let's see how this plays out.
Of those were between the Greek League and Greek Cup, and another 8 in the actual EuroLeague. Okay. There, he was averaging 4 points in 11 minutes a game on 42.3% from the field. 4 points. But I guess it's important to note...
How much playtime? 10 minutes, 4 points, 42. I mean... Not the worst. Nothing to brag about, obviously. but 10.5 minutes, I don't know. Yeah.
Minutes a game on 42.3% from the field. But I guess it's important to note that whenever he did get a bit more trust and playing time from coach Ataman, he had better showings like 13 points against Baskonia and Fenerbahce. In any case, Guy's stint in the EuroLeague was far from successful and his 2-year contract got terminated before the new year. Also, quickly guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do that so we can keep releasing these weekly European and international basketball videos. Okay, then perhaps you can make the argument.
I'll get it later. Where is the subscribe button on here nowadays? YouTube, stop moving stuff around, man. It's basketball. Oh, I already am. Okay.
That one does not necessarily need to be successful in a particular league to have an opinion on its talent level. And I agree, I don't think you even have to play in the league necessarily to make that determination.
Fair enough, yeah. We could even as fans, by seeing just the level of intensity the basketball is being played.
See, to me, this claim comes down to the entire definition of basketball talent. So let's get that straight now too. I believe that Kyle Guy is possibly shrinking it down to two things. Raw athleticism and individual one-on-one skills. We're talking about attributes like vertical leap, speed, dribbling ability, shot creation, and shot making. First of all, I think that's a very American way to view the game.
I think so too, because like really, if you want to judge what's a better league or like what's a better, I would say, is it easier to score in EuroLeague or is it easier to score in the G League? Is it easier to defend in EuroLeague or is it easier to defend in G League? You know what I mean? Like these are the things that matter, because if you can't score a bucket in EuroLeague, but in G League you can go off, that tells you the level of you know, the quality of basketball is lower in the G League. For instance, when I mean, and I don't know what the answer is, I'm just saying that is a very American take if that's the way. You know, we see individualism in the team sport above all else, even though that's not how it should be. You know, like no one ever talks about team defense, which is like the most important thing to winning a championship, but we don't talk about it anymore. We'll talk about one big block out here. That's a highlight. But yeah, it's the exact reason why, like, it makes me wonder when Luka, even years ago, came into the NBA and said it's way hard, it's way easier to score in the NBA than it was in EuroLeague. These are important takes to me, because that tells a big story. That shows that, yeah, it's, I mean, he said it clear as day, it's easier here. So if it's easier here, that doesn't make it a better league. In fact, it makes me question, like, is EuroLeague above the NBA?
Because that is ignoring so many other aspects that make up the game of basketball. How I look at it, individual talent also includes things such as who processes the floor faster, who's executing the fundamentals on both ends better, and most importantly, who actually helps a team win. In the G League, where the pace is incredibly fast and the floor is wide open, raw athletic ability looks like the ultimate talent. But in Europe, where the paint is packed and defenders are actively trying to force you into complex traps, you have to read the game 3 steps ahead. If you can't navigate a simple pick and roll coverage or make the right extra pass under pressure, those physical tools become basically useless. So if you define talent just
also like the hell, hold on, I lost
strictly as who looks best in an open gym one-on-one scenario, then sure, there are many G League players who make the case for that argument stronger.
Yeah, but what I was gonna say is the other problem with the G League is that everybody in the G League pretty much is trying to stand out and show off so they can get noticed and possibly get a 10-day contract in the NBA. Like, that's really what it is. The G League is built to prepare you for the NBA. So I think that there's probably a little more individualism in the G League than we would see in EuroLeague. Once again, these are all just like my guesses of how I perceive this all.
Professional basketball is a 5-on-5 sport, and at the highest competitive level, it comes down to all those details. But anyways, the most fun part to me is that we don't even have to guess which version of talent actually translates to winning, because we literally saw these two exact styles clash on the court not too long ago. It happened during the FIBA Intercontinental Cup in September of 2024.
Nice. Euro versus G?
NBA sent their G League United, a hand-picked roster of top developmental talent.
Ooh.
That team faced Unicaja Malaga, a Spanish team from the strongest European domestic league, the ACB.
Wait, a regular team versus a team of all-stars. And you're telling me the EuroLeague's about to win? That's okay.
The time were the reigning Basketball Champions League champions. And the Spanish side absolutely destroyed them. Unicaja dictated the terms of the game right from the
60.
opening tip and cruised to a dominant 15-point victory. But see, it wasn't just the final score that made this matchup go incredibly viral. First, Toscano Anderson had a speech in the locker room where, just like Kyle Guy, he said the G League is the second best league in the world.
Oh, okay.
G League is the second best league in the world. We talented. We just got to limit our turnovers, play together, play with high energy. Together on three. 1, 2, 3, together.
That didn't age well.
Later, when they were down by 18, we saw this viral timeout.
We are better than this shit. Our dream is not to play fucking ACB. Our dream is not to play fucking EuroLeague. Our dream is to play in the fucking National Basketball Association, nigga. To make millions and fucking hundreds of millions of dollars. This shit, what they doing to us is embarrassing. It's unacceptable.
Damn. Yeah. Yep, it's true though. But also, you see the difference. I doubt that's the attitude of many people in EuroLeague. They're probably happy to be in EuroLeague and they want to win. You know, they want to win in EuroLeague, win awards, all that stuff within EuroLeague. But the mindset in the G League is we don't want to be here. We want to be in the NBA. Which, I mean, obviously, yeah. I think we could all understand that. But that does make the actual product of the G League. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's always going to be a kind of a subpar product.
Maybe it's just me, but hearing our dream is to make millions of dollars as your main motivational line after you're down in the game, well, that's just kind of sad. And by the way, ironically enough, now Toscano Anderson is playing in Europe, putting up 10 points a game for a mid-tier Italian team in Trieste. But honestly, it just highlighted the exact American problem I spoke about earlier. Unicaja won because they exposed the G League's actual basketball habits. Yes, the American guys on average were probably the better athletes, but they got completely destroyed on the glass, being out-rebounded 53-39.
Fundamentals, man. I'd take fundamentals over athleticism any day of the week. Any day of the week, man.
And it wasn't a size issue.
You ever heard of Larry Bird?
It was because the G League players were constantly getting caught just ball watching instead of physically boxing their guys out.
Yeah,
Europeans
really.
simply got second chance points through basic fundamental effort. Then there's the tactical side of it.
Hold on.
Second chance points through.
All right. At least we got a box out here. But wow. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of you guys.
Through basic fundamental.
Oh, where are you guys going? Did you see that? I wasn't expecting that. Okay, so ball's about to hit the rim. Before the ball hits the rim? Okay, wait. Bang. All right. So you're in position. I mean, the ball's heading to your right, right? It's heading over here. Where are you guys going to go? You going right under the basket. Well, I'll be damned. No wonder why. Wow. And we got the one guy who's actually getting the rebound. He went from being boxed out to no body on him. What's the point of boxing him out if by the time it's rebound time, you're out of the picture? Dude, that's just, yeah, bad fundamentals. This is just regular fundamentals. This is bad fundamentals on the G League side.
Mental effort. Then there's the tactical side of things. In the half court, the two philosophies we saw couldn't have been more different. G League United treated offensive possessions like a personal showcase. More often than not, they were settling for contested off-the-dribble jump shots early in the clock.
NBA
but in
style.
FIBA, isolation basketball against a set defense rarely works, unless you truly have superstar talent.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Unicaja just closed the gaps and really walled them off. On the other end, the Spaniards ran circles around them with constant off-ball movement. They were running flare screens and blind cuts, forcing the American defenders to actually think. All of that resulted in a lot of wide-open layups, while the G League guys just stood around watching the ball. Unicaja even brought
He's doing his LeBron impression right here.
wide-open layups, while the G League guys just stood around watching the ball. Unicaja even brought out defensive coverages that completely stunned the Americans. After halftime, the Spanish side started aggressively hedging the pick and rolls. Because G League players are so used to big men just dropping into the paint, switching, or defending flat in the NBA, they were completely unprepared for this. It disrupted their timing, the guards didn't know how to beat the defense with one pass, and it led to a bunch of lazy turnovers.
Yeah.
Now, if the
lazy one-handed pass.
G League was really the clear number 2, a hand-picked roster of the best talent they had probably wouldn't have been destroyed tactically for the entire game, especially by a European club that's not even competing in the EuroLeague. And trust me, I say this with no disrespect to Unicaja, but they are in the third-tier continental competition.
So a low-tier team, yeah, this is just getting worse and worse. It's good. Stuff like this needs to happen. It does. It does. Because, yeah, if you're in a G League, maybe you shouldn't be talking trash about other leagues. Maybe you just shouldn't be doing it. I don't know.
And then Unicaja beat them the very next year again, too. Now, I know that someone...
Wait.
This with no disrespect to Unicaja, but they are in the third-tier continental competition. And then Unicaja beat them the very next year again, too. Now, I know that someone could still argue, okay, maybe the better team won those games, but the G League in general still has more gifted individual players who put up massive stats and are more NBA ready. And here, I'll have to say yes, but that's...
Yeah, okay. Even if we concede that, like, that doesn't seem that important to me. So you have some better individuals, but the teams, the quality of the average play is lower. That's what matters to me, you know? Like, that's like the whole thing. Like, imagine if right now all we had was one great NBA player, but then everybody else sucked. Like, yeah, we wouldn't be able to say the NBA is the best product. And hell, I don't know how much longer we can say the NBA is the best product.
Because the G League is built like a personal showcase league. It rewards scouting stats, fast pacing, and self-creation because guys are just trying to get called up to the NBA.
Absolutely.
EuroLeague is built to win games, which means it punishes bad defense, weak decision-making, and empty possessions. And because of this, raw G League stats are basically a mirage. Just look at Omer Yurtseven, who is a great recent example. After returning from the NBA and playing for Panathinaikos for a couple of seasons, the club parted ways with him this spring. He went to the G League and immediately put up video game numbers in 3 games, averaging
23, 13, and 2.
23 points and
in 3 games. So like he's not even getting like acclimated to the G League. He's just going in and dominating the G.
Over 13 rebounds with 2 blocks a game. On paper, he looks like an unstoppable force, and he even got an NBA contract after. But
I'm curious if anybody knows, has Mac McClung ever played in EuroLeague? Because we know he balls out in G League, but in the NBA, you know, for whatever reason, he's not getting a shot. If you went to EuroLeague, I think that might answer some questions. Because if he struggles in Euro, then we know. But if he dominates in Euro, then yeah, he should be ready for the NBA, right? Anyways, let me know if anybody knows.
In the EuroLeague, he was barely a rotation guy. Yurtseven averaged just 6.3 points and 3.5 rebounds in about 12 minutes a night. His finishing was on and off, his defense had holes, and most importantly, he lacked the physicality EuroLeague required. We see this contrast with guards too. Take Saban Lee and Carson Edwards, who both actually led the G League in scoring in the past with 25+ point averages. When they transitioned to the EuroLeague, their numbers in the first season dropped to just 8 points a game.
Wow.
Eventually, both guys bumped their scoring up and became offensive threats on mid-tier teams in the EuroLeague.
So that's telling me, and I, you know, once again, just by the visuals and by everything I'm seeing, that defense in EuroLeague is far superior.
But there was a steep learning curve navigating the European defensive coverages and spacing where the big man can just camp in the paint all day long defensively.
Yeah.
This brings me to why EuroLeague basketball is simply a harder puzzle to solve. If you want to know the truth, just listen to the American players who actually made the jump and succeeded. Kendrick Nunn, who was a solid backup point guard in the NBA, went over, became a star in the EuroLeague, but admitted that in Europe, it's much harder to get open looks. Also, in the G League, a player can take a bad shot, miss a rotation on defense, and it doesn't really matter as long as he hits his personal goals. The gym is empty and there are basically no consequences for losing. In Europe, every single possession matters. You have to run these complex offensive actions, read the weak side defense, and make the extra pass, or you will simply be taken out of the game. Now, my final point is that even if you look at basketball from that very narrow perspective of quote-unquote sheer talent, aka athleticism and individual skill, the EuroLeague still has more of it. And that comes down to economics. See, these massive budgets of the top EuroLeague clubs allow them to aggressively sign a lot of super talented fringe NBA players. We're talking about guys who maybe don't have the right size for the NBA, or they need a high usage ball dominant role to actually be effective, which obviously they aren't going to get if they are sitting behind an established NBA superstar, so they get overlooked. But instead of grinding it out in the G League, you have more and more guys in their mid to late 20s choosing the EuroLeague. And it's quite simple in my eyes. More money, better basketball environment, and if you adapt well, also a much bigger role than you would have gotten in the NBA.
Yeah, and I hear that the money is getting very good in EuroLeague. Like, I mean, not like NBA levels, because NBA does not stop going up. But from what I understand, like EuroLeague, that's a good career.
What do you guys think? What's your take on this EuroLeague versus the G League as the second best league in the world debate? Let's discuss all of it in the comments below.
Yeah, I mean, I came in assuming that, like, it's how that's how I felt for a while now. That, I mean, I'll put it this way, because I've been wondering for a while now, if we got like the all-stars of the NBA versus the EuroLeague stars, who would win a match? And I think I'd probably bet on EuroLeague. You know what I mean? So I think that tells you what my perspective was already on this. When we're talking G League, yeah, I don't even think it'll be a competition. But another cool way to do this could be, but I know the NBA players would never do it because this would be embarrassing, but take the NBA champions, that lineup, versus the EuroLeague champs, and just duke it out for one game and see what happens. I would love to see how it would go down, because if the defense is more intensified in EuroLeague, I would love to see how these NBA players try to adjust and adapt to this on the fly. You know what I mean? But anyways, that'll never happen. I'm just the G League versus EuroLeague, even though that doesn't seem like it was a fair matchup. You know, it was like the all-stars of the G versus not even a third tier EuroLeague team, and the third tier EuroLeague is whooping our ass. So I think that tells us enough of a story to get a grasp on it. I can care less about a couple of individuals in the G League that, you know, oh wow, you're like a great individual player or whatever, but that's it. You know what I mean? I care about the average play of like across the board of the entire league. And I like, you know, like a lot of us have complaints about the NBA, how everyone is trained to play exactly the same, like they're robots now. You know, the individualism is being taken out of the game. And that's exactly what's going on in the G League as well. They're preparing them for the NBA. So everybody is just like, in the G League, they're a not as prepared version of these NBA players, but they're taught to do the exact same things, so you can fit right into any lineup if you do get selected with a 10-day contract for the NBA. EuroLeague, that's a whole different monster. And I keep saying it, but someday I really got to do it. I really got to just start watching some of these EuroLeague games and just see what the intensity is like for myself. Because every time I see a clip or or whatever, like even just in this video, the defense looks great. The ball movement looks great. Everything looks unselfish and like a team unified. Not a whole bunch of individuals trying to like earn a better contract. You know what I mean? Anyways, you guys, I'm gonna head out. I'm curious what your opinions are on this. What'd you come in thinking? Like, what was your impression coming in about like G League versus EuroLeague? And how do you feel after the video? Like, what are your impressions now? Let me know in the comments. We'll have a good conversation like we always do. Looking forward to it. Like the vid on the way out if you could, and subscribe if you want more content like this. And most importantly, is be water, my friends.